Coming up on At Issue.
We recognize this takeover as an assault against the city of Jackson, against the people of Jackson, against the right for the people of Jackson to be self-determined in their economic interests.
Airport bill opposition. More voices come forward against a proposal before lawmakers to take control of Mississippi's largest airport. Gaming plans. Several lawmakers are supporting a bill to create a state lottery to pay for education. And access to care. The Mississippi Nurses Association is urging the legislature to change state law to improve treatment for patients. At Issue starts right now. Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Wilson Stribling. Welcome to another edition of At Issue, where we discuss and debate the critical issues facing the state of Mississippi and how these issues impact you. And we want you, as always, to share your opinions and comments with us. Just go to facebook.com/MPB Online News. On Twitter, our handle is @MPB News. Also visit our webpage, mpbonline.org/issue. And you can check us out, MPB News and all of your favorite shows, on our new MPB app. It's free to download for your Apple or Android phone. The big story, leaders of the state's 3 education agencies are asking lawmakers for more money. The State Department of Education, the Institutions of Higher Learning, and the Community College Board are requesting $372 million more for the next fiscal year. That would be an 8% increase over the current year's budget. The House Appropriations Committee received budget presentations made by the agencies earlier this week. Committee Chair Herb Frierson says shortfalls in state revenue make budget increases unlikely. The state currently spends a combined $4.5 billion on education. MPB's Paul Boger was at the committee meeting. If you would like to read more about what education leaders are saying, check out Paul's story on our website, mpbonline.org/news. A bill to create a state lottery to fund education is now in committee. Representative Alice Clark entered the bill, which has 26 co-sponsors. Mississippi is one of 6 states without a lottery, and it's no secret that many Mississippians cross state lines to buy lottery tickets. Clark's bill specifically earmarks proceeds from lottery ticket sales to fund education. State residents voted in favor of lifting the constitutional ban on lotteries back in 1992, but no lottery has ever been created. The House Gaming Committee is now considering the bill, and here's what some of you are saying on our Facebook page about creating a lottery to fund education. Marilyn Brown-Munt says, "You've got to be kidding. Check out the states that have made people fall for that line. Education system still broke." Neil Murphy says, "How many times will people fall for it's for the kids? I thought the casinos would end our education woes." Martha Kane says, "As long as it's earmarked for education and possibly infrastructure, then yes." Well, there's more opposition to a bill to overhaul the board that oversees the Jackson Medgar Wiley Evers International Airport. A group calling itself the Coalition for Economic Justice joins the Mississippi NAACP as the latest group to oppose that bill. It calls for the abolishment of the current airport board and the creation of a regional board with members from Hinds, Madison, and Rankin counties to oversee operations and future growth. The bill would transfer the power of appointing board members from the mayor of Jackson and the city council to the governor. The group says power and money are at the root of what they describe as a state takeover.
We want to make it clear that there can be no compromise. No compromise. This is the Jackson Airport. It was invested in by the people of Jackson, and it belongs to the people of Jackson. You can't come in our house and tell us how to rearrange our furniture. This is our airport, and we stand by that. We're united in that, and we will not compromise the issue.
They can say what they want. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I know the motivation behind this. I understand, you know, the players on the other side. I understand what they're going after, and you know, I'm just going to continue to reach out to my colleagues and let them know what the facts are and what's in the bill, what's not in the bill, and the reasons for doing it, and let them decide.
You can read more about the Coalition for Economic Justice and the opposition to replacing the Jackson Airport Board on our website. MPB's Desiree Frazier posted a story on it. Just go to mpbonline.org MPBTV.com/news. And here is what you are saying on our Facebook page about it. Brian Strong says, we need it. That airport is a joke. I have 7 people traveling to Vegas next week. We will drive to New Orleans to fly because of limited options here. William Anderson says, yes, Jackson does not represent the majority of users of the airport. Why should we let the airport fail just like Jackson's failing? Have a board that represents diversity. Amazing how some things come back around so fast. Donald Moncure Jr. says, no, the city of Jackson purchased that land and the airport belongs to it. If the state or any other city wants or other entity wants control, then purchase it from Jackson. But once again, here comes some piece of legislation to take over to make everything seem legal when it's totally wrong in this case. Well, it is being called the biggest economic development in state history. This week, Governor Bryant signed the bill to make it happen. Several lawmakers surrounded the governor as he made the deal official. It gives $275 million in tax breaks and other incentives to Continental Tire and Edison Schwest Offshore to establish and expand in Mississippi. The companies together will invest $1.5 billion and create 3,500 jobs. 2,500 of those jobs will be at Continental's tire plant to be constructed in Hinds County between Clinton and Bolton. Representative Creedell Calhoun says it's great news for an area in need of jobs.
It's going to mean everything as far as jobs for the people in Bolton, Edwards, in the small towns around Utica. Even Pocahontas will benefit from it. As a matter of fact, some over in Madison County would benefit from it. So it's going to help the whole area come back to life. It will probably be better than it was in the heydays when it become fully operational around 2025 or 2030.
Here are some of your comments on this from our Facebook page. Adam Westbrook says, thanks for using my tax money to provide more breaks to big business. They really need it to come to one of the most heavily taxed states in the union, while we are the poorest state in the union. You think we have our priorities in the right order? William H. Word says, what we need is another meatpacking plant in North Mississippi. Joke. I just have problems with failed investments by our state government, too many in my few years. James Alsop says, big companies should not receive any financial help from the taxpayers. If you want to do something great, try helping the homegrown small businesses. There are other bills of interest we are keeping an eye on this session. A bill to allow churches to arm and protect themselves has moved out of the House Judiciary Committee. House Bill 786, the Mississippi Church Protection Act, calls for allowing qualified and trained security teams to carry guns to protect a church or place of worship. The killing of an intruder by that security team would be considered justifiable homicide. It now goes to the full House for a vote. A bill that would prohibit school districts from allowing teachers to teach creationism is being considered. House Bill 50 asks for the protection of teachers who teach scientific theories, including religious ones, in the classroom. If passed, it would go into effect next school year. And a bill to appoint rather than elect school district superintendents has passed the Senate. Senate Bill 2438 calls for the state's 55 elected superintendents to serve the next 4 years. Then the superintendents would be appointed by the local school boards. The bill now goes to the House for approval. So how does all of this affect you? Let's get straight to the point with views from both sides of the aisle. Austin Barbour is a Republican national strategist. He's the founding partner of the Clearwater Group. Brandon Jones is a Democrat. He's an attorney with the Beria Jones Law Firm and a former member of the House. And we welcome both of you to At Issue, as always. Good to have you with us. Let's first talk about what happened in the House. We have a new minority leader, Brandon?
Yeah, Representative David Beria from Hancock County. He served in the Senate, and this is his second term in the House. I think it's a great move by the House Caucus, House Democratic Caucus. I think the leadership style we'll see is one that tries to work together to find pragmatic solutions where they're there and picks their spots when it comes to being, I guess, a little bit more argumentative. But I think what you'll see is a little bit different tone out of the House Democrats this time around, maybe one that looks to see where we can work together.
That's good. Hopefully so. I mean, David's a good guy, smart guy, very talented, accomplished guy, and I hope that is sort of what we will see with under his leadership with the House Democrats working with the Speaker and the leadership there to get things done for the taxpayers. That's their job. That's what they were elected to do, and then they will be judged on that in 4 years.
Well, let's talk about presidential politics. It dominates all the commercial media right now because there's a lot riding on what voters will be deciding soon. Mississippi will have its day soon enough. March 8th, it's going to be here before we know it. Brandon, any predictions at this point? It seems awfully early because each race we've seen so far, there have been some surprises already.
Yeah, it's hard to remember this with all the media frenzy, but we're only 4% into the total delegate count of where we'll ultimately be. And so as big as Iowa and New Hampshire looms, it's really a small percentage of the vote. A lot of more votes are going to be decided by the end of March, where we'll be up to 60%. I think that, and at least on the Democratic side of the aisle, you'll see Hillary Clinton pick up steam as you get into these more diverse states with a little bit different population makeup than what we saw in Iowa and New Hampshire.
I don't know. March 8th is coming soon. Obviously, that's when Mississippi will get our chance. And Mississippi, Michigan, and there's one other state, maybe it's Hawaii, I forget exactly who it is, where we get our chance to go to the polls and vote. And I think that Mississippi is going to matter. We will get a chance to decide both the Republican and Democrat side. There'll still be very competitive races. I totally disagree with my friend over here on the other side of the table that Hillary Clinton's for sure going to be the nominee. I don't know. I mean, feel the burn, man. Bernie Sanders. I've spent the last week in New Hampshire, a lot up on the New Hampshire-Vermont border. My accent hadn't changed, but sort of my fascination with Bernie Sanders certainly has. Boy, he's got a great accent. I wish I could do that.
Did his performance there surprise you, though, Austin?
No, I don't. He won by 21 points. I think he beat her 60-39. Surprise? I don't know. I mean, I think everybody felt like he was going to end up beating her, but there is a real momentum there. I think Hillary Clinton will ultimately be the nominee. But look, you see new data out today, polling data out of Nevada, which is a very diverse state. Hispanics, African Americans, white voters that make up that Democrat caucus there. It's tied in Nevada. The first poll out of the state of Nevada in 2016, it's tied. She was up 25 points from the last poll. Barack Obama's home state, Illinois, new polling out of there. She's only up 11. The Bernie momentum is racing across the country.
I got to throw
Lord
a flag.
help us.
Got to throw a flag on Austin. This poll that he cites comes from a conservative group, kind of a makeshift blogosphere kind of creation newspaper there in Washington. I don't know that it can be relied on for good data, but let's talk about the other side. But how about this Trump momentum? What do we call that? He's burning through New Hampshire was a big win, and as we go to the southern states, it looks like he may have an even more commanding lead.
It's very interesting, and I fully disclose, I am a senior advisor with Governor Bush's campaign, but I try to set that to the side to give objective information here. There is definitely a lot of support for Donald Trump out there, which to me amazes me in many ways. He is a wonderful showman. He's got different degrees of success in the business field, but I don't think he's someone who's experienced and qualified to be president. I don't think he is a person who has the right tone, sets the right tone for our country, says the right things, and divides us. Is my personal opinion of him. But he just won. He got 36%. He's going to go to South Carolina as the leader. We'll see what ultimately happens with him and Ted Cruz in South Carolina.
Isn't there a similar question for both of these guys, Trump and Sanders, in the sense that they haven't really gotten the front runner scrutiny yet? I mean, even though Trump has been out there, your candidate, Governor Bush, is really the only one that has been pounding him consistently. Yeah. Now will we see more of that? And similarly for Sanders, let's be honest, he has been given the kid glove treatment. And I will say, there's no doubt that Sanders has kind of ignited a youth vote. And they're in New Hampshire, where you saw a lot of young people, a little bit higher number of young people participate than is typical. It was pretty telling, and it was pretty exciting, I'm sure, for the folks who are working for his campaign. But now that they've both had these big wins, will we see more of that front-runner scrutiny?
I don't know. There's some interesting exit polls. I don't want to answer your question, but there's some exit polling out of New Hampshire that's very fascinating. A third of the Democrat primary voters said trustworthiness was their #1 issue. You want to know how they voted for Hillary? They voted 5 to 91 for Bernie. So obviously 91 to 5, so I can say those numbers the right way. So that's a big concern for hers. Because listen, no matter what state you go, if that is your most important issue, if your most important issue is that you can trust this candidate, she's going to get waxed
I
every
heard
time.
somebody describe the diversity of New Hampshire as I ate all of the different vegetables in that cauliflower. I'm not sure that New Hampshire tells us a lot. Bernie Sanders is next door. He's been next door for a long time. He's been in the Senate about as long, well, he's been an elected official about as long as I've been alive.
Yeah.
He's sort of, he has, you know, bordering counties with New Hampshire. He's a familiar commodity up there.
But how do you think, let me start with you, Austin, how do you think Trump will do in Mississippi?
Well, I think it's very interesting. It's too early to say because we have two races in the Republican Party. We have really a race between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz to sort of see who's going to win that side of our party, okay? Then we have a race really right now between Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, and to a degree, John Kasich, who's going to be more of the mainstream lane member of the Republican Party. Eventually, and I don't know when this is going to be, it may be just before March 1st, or it may be certainly no later than right after March the 1st, where you're going to have one person, either Bush, Rubio, or Kasich, who's going to come out of this lane, maybe to fight Trump and Cruz at the same time. So listen, in Mississippi, we could easily have a scenario to where you have Trump, Cruz, and Bush. And in that scenario, Jeb Bush could win. These guys might fight over 60% of the vote. Bush gets the other 40. So it's a really interesting scenario that we may have coming in when Mississippi votes on March the 8th.
Brendan, how will Bernie Sanders do in Mississippi?
Well, I think that, I mentioned this, I think before, Bernie Sanders has spent a considerable amount of time here in Mississippi. He's spoken at Tougaloo, I think, multiple times. He's been on Jackson State's campus. He's made the rounds. But as we all recall, back in 2008, Hillary Clinton had a full campaign staff here, worked really hard. This was an extremely important state in 2008. It could very well be again. And, of course, she has a little bit of experience in the South, having been First Lady of Arkansas. I think that Hillary Clinton is going to be a hard out in Mississippi.
She's such a bad candidate. I mean, she just is such a bad candidate. I mean, she is obviously a very talented. She's accomplished a lot, but she is a bad candidate.
And that's how you really feel, Austin.
I am telling you how I really feel. And that's what her problem is right now. I mean, that is the biggest issue. I mean, she should be winning this nomination. And from the Republican side, thank goodness. The last thing that we would need is for Hillary Clinton to just have clean air through a whole nomination process and target Republicans. And, I mean, look, my guy Jeb Bush has struggled. He's gotten to be much better of a candidate here recently. But I did want to tell you how it felt.
Well, I would counter that to say I think she's a fantastic candidate. I think there's no one who is more qualified for this job than Hillary Clinton that's running in either party. But she is, to your point, a little bit of an awkward politician.
Yeah.
And some of the athletic throws of a political campaign can be challenging at times. I'll say this, though. Last night in the debate there in Wisconsin, I thought that she struck a tone that was quite different than the one we saw a week ago in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
If she can stabilize, sound more like that, Sanders sound more like a bumper sticker. She sounded more like a research memo, but it was very presidential, I thought. I think that could be her stride.
She's got to win South Carolina big, which she could. Don't let it get close. And then she's got to go to Nevada and win, and we'll see what happens there.
Again, Mississippi's primary is March 8th, and we'll know how our state votes after that. Gentlemen, thank you. Good to have you as always. Mississippi's foster care system is in crisis, and the governor is asking lawmakers to help improve the system, which currently cares for nearly many children. The Olivia Y. lawsuit filed in 2004 exposed the failing foster care system, and a settlement was reached to make changes. But some of the proposed improvements have not been made. The governor wants lawmakers to support and fund Family and Children's Services as a separate agency from the Department of Human Services to report directly to the governor's office. The governor says if the state cannot make aggressive commitments to the system, then the courts will take over. Former Mississippi Supreme Court Justice David Chandler has been appointed as Director of Family and Children's Services. We spoke with Senator Willie Simmons about helping the foster care system.
The foster care system is broken. It needs some repairs and some taking a look at. We've had a problem with it for some time. We've had the federal government taking a look at us through court orders. Now the federal government is a little bit more active in taking a look at us. I hope we're able to fix the foster care system at a much cheaper price and provide adequate services to the foster care children who are in need of it, and not have to spend the kind of money that we did when we had a court order from the Department of Correction. That court order lasted forever and ever, Gates versus Collier, and it cost the state a lot of money. I hope the state will engage and be proactive in putting dollars in place to take care of the foster care program.
The foster care system crisis goes back decades. You can read more about it in this article by MPB's Evelina Burnett. It's on our website, mpbonline.org/news. Mental health advocates in Mississippi are asking lawmakers to step up when it comes to funding programs to steer people with mental illness away from jail. Mental Health Awareness Day was held on the south steps of the Capitol this week. The National Alliance on Mental Illness says the Department of Mental Health has funded mobile crisis response teams and crisis intervention training statewide. But they say more needs to be done when it comes to incarcerating people with mental illness when there's no other place to take them. MPB's Southern Remedy recently completed an in-depth 5-part special on mental illness in children called Growing Pains. You can hear from the experts and the families who navigate mental health issues every day by going to mpbonline.org/growing pains. Nurses in Mississippi are urging lawmakers to change state law to help improve access to care for patients. The Mississippi Nurses Association's Legislative Summit was held at the Jackson Convention Complex this week. The group is seeking a change to the Mississippi Nurse Practice Act, which requires a doctor to be within 15 miles for nurse practitioners to be permitted to see patients. Nurses Association President Debbie Allen says the state has a shortage of doctors and nurses, and several nurse practitioner clinics in the Delta have had to close because they don't have a physician sponsor. She says adjusting the law would allow more nurses to treat more patients in clinics instead of emergency rooms, especially in rural areas.
We've tried this several times in the past, and we have more support than we have ever had. And it's because it's coming home to us now. We don't have physicians, as many physicians in our state anymore. And if we do, they want to be in larger practices so that leaves the outskirts of Jackson and Hattiesburg and those larger areas without health care. And so we're able to look at it from the patient perspective again. We want to be there for you. We want to provide your health care. And we want to make sure you have access to that care.
The Nurses Association also believes all children should be immunized. Well, let's dive into the reporter's notebook now. We bring in Paul Boger of MPB News. Paul, good to have you with us. You've got your nose to the ground there at the Capitol. Tell us about some of the highlights this week that you've observed.
Well, you know, it was the first week started off with a lot of good news for Republicans, for a lot of Hinds County delegation, because you had the governor signing the Continental Tire package along with the Top Ship package down there on the coast. Then you had a lot of folks getting to work is what's going on right now. Committees are finally getting to work, finally pushing out bills. You have the first dead day just passed about a week ago, or on this past Monday. So all the bills that are going to be introduced this session are actually on the Lieutenant Governor and the Secretary, or excuse me, the Speaker of the House's desk, and they're getting put to committees. So
there's a bill that has to do with payday loans. Tell us about that.
You know, I find that interesting. You know, here in Mississippi, you see a lot of folks, especially in poor communities, minority communities, you see these check cashing places. It's known by many people that these kind of places take advantage of the predatory loans and take advantage of people who don't have a lot of the options
and at least afford
banking. Yeah, at least afford it. So there's a law right now, or excuse me, a bill going through that would actually limit the amount of interest these loans can charge, as well as, you know, making sure, creating a database that makes sure that these folks can only take out one loan at a time if they are going to go for it.
Because they don't want to get them too deep to where they can't pay it back, which can often happen. Let's talk about next week. Things will really get busy as action needs to be taken on all these bills you're talking about.
Right. So you heard me mention the first deadline. The second one's coming up, not this Tuesday, but the following Wednesday. And it's all the bills have to be out of committee and onto the floor of their chamber. So we've got about 3,000 bills going through committees right now. That's you know, on average, the House and the Senate might pass about 300 of them. So a lot of work needs to get done because a lot of these bills haven't even been brought up yet in committees. So you're going to see a lot of folks running around like chickens with their heads cut off.
And a good, what, 1/3 of those have to do with education?
A good 1/3, I would say at least 1/3 of them have to do with education. Education's always a big topic here in Mississippi, so lots of interesting things going on there.
Let's talk about this, what we were calling the guns in church bill, this idea that a certain contingent of the congregation under the law could be trained, so to speak, to carry guns and be authorized to carry guns in church. And then if they approach an intruder, they'd be justified. It's kind of like castle doctrine for a church, I guess. Is this a bill that's going to get very far in your judgment?
It's out of committee. You know what? The legislature has shown that gun bills are not willing to, or not wanting to, I should say, make a hard stance on them or create any kind of gun control bill. So I think this one's going to have smooth sailing.
It will be interesting to watch. What else is going on that has piqued your interest at the Capitol?
You know, you mentioned the education bills. Lots of stuff going on there. There's the creationism bill, as it's being deemed. We'll look at what would essentially protect teachers in case, as they say, want to create debate on some scientific principles, including evolution, climate change.
Because right now, it's okay if a student brings it up and the class discusses it, but if a teacher does, a teacher could get in trouble for bringing up such things in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
And as I understand it, the bill wouldn't require teachers to start teaching creationism or whatever you want to call it, but they wouldn't get in trouble if they did.
Right. That's exactly right. You know, I wouldn't even characterize it if teachers would get in trouble currently. A lot of teachers bring this up on an annual basis. They teach it in their classrooms. A lot of folks aren't getting in trouble for it. You know, it would
legislate what's already in practice in a lot of places.
Exactly. And, you know, some folks say they're hesitant to actually bring it out of committee because it's just not needed.
All right. Paul Boger, thank you. We'll continue, and we know you'll continue to follow everything that happens there at the Capitol. For MPB News, that's all the time we have for At Issue. We invite you to join us again next Friday night on MPB for another edition of At Issue.